Welcome to the Redvee TV show, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2025 season, as this is the What Now episode.
Yeah, fair, fair
We're a week
enough.
on, Kev, we're a week on, um, since that's probably as big a meltdown as we've had in a long time at a defeat. Um,
Yes, definitely.
and we spoke about Wello's future afterwards, whether whether he goes now, whether he goes at the end of the year, what happens. Um, Regardless of my opinion, your opinion, fans' opinion, one way or the other, I think it appears clear that the club are going to keep him on until at least the end of the year.
It certainly looks that way at the moment, doesn't it? Obviously, nothing out of the club either way. Um, so it looks like they're just going to ride out the year, see how they go, and make an announcement probably towards the back end. Um, I think we've mentioned it before um, that it was good when we got the news that he was going to stay on and give us some stability for this year. But I think as long as behind the scenes people know what's going on, unfortunately, as fans, we don't matter as much as the person in charge. It's just how it is, isn't it? But yeah, a week on, and while I've calmed down, I actually listen back. I don't really listen to us again. No reason to, but because I did it through emotion after the Warrington game, I listened back to it to see if I disagreed with myself, and I don't. A lot of what I said about us being woeful, being inept, anger-inducing. That if the coaches are telling players to throw balls out in their own 20 on the first tackle, high risk, low reward as it ended up being. They need to reevaluate that, and if they're not, they need to make some tough decisions. We mentioned that you can't just change all 17, but they've got to make some tough decisions on players and what they're doing on the park and how
Some,
long they have the impact for.
some difficult conversations, would you say, Kevin?
Honest conversations, yeah,
Honest conversations.
yeah. But we go back. It's on the coach and the coaching staff to get a tune out of these players. Um, yeah, the coach doesn't drop the ball, he doesn't make errors, but it's got to come from him now to put his foot down and stamp out the stink that's happening on the field because some of the plays are absolutely rank, and you feel like we're trying to do it A on our own, like as singular players, and B go away from what's made Saints good for the past period of time, however many years you want to go back to 2018 or whatever. We've gone away from that. I think we mentioned the fact that the club hasn't really changed the playing style too much. And it's something that we've got to address because there are new players at the club and you don't always fit the same system. Maybe that's a failing. But we need to see more. I'm sick of talking about discipline, and not just discipline of high shots, giving away penalties for back chat, anything like that, whatever it is. We've got to see discipline this weekend, or else this Leeds team are a very physical team, and it could become as embarrassing as we have had it at Magic Weekend because we have had some absolute shellackings, and we don't want to see that. We want to see some kind of revival to try and get something out of this season,
Yeah,
even if that's just pride.
just while you were talking there, I'm just going to put a graphic up that we displayed on our social media at the weekend. Let me just put it up.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure we could pick out many stats from the Warrington game, but this one that was sent to us and we displayed on social media. This is carries meters made average. When one of your impact props off the bench has made 3 meters from 3 runs, you have to be concerned. I'm quite confident I could do more than 3 meters with the ball in hand.
Big call.
No, that's not. No, I'm sorry. 3 meters? That's
Yeah,
the length of your bedroom.
you stay out of my bedroom. Um, yeah, with it, I mean, it doesn't look great reading, does it? Absolutely not.
Alex has made
Especially,
54 meters. How many of them are off our own try line when he's running the ball back from the kickoff?
yeah, so that's something you pulled up to me in the game as well. I think as well, you have a look at that and you think, is that why he was kept? Is that why Parsi was kept off until the second half? Because did he come on in the first half? He was ready to come on.
And then, yeah, he was going to come on about 2 minutes before half time. And I think you
Yeah,
said, why are you bringing him on the field now? And then he didn't.
yeah,
What, didn't we have the scrum and he left Leeds on for it?
yes. And you think, why are you bringing somebody on with 3 minutes? That should be 10 minutes to go. Give him a good 10 minutes, then he can have 10 minutes rest. Then he gets another go at it. I mean, we can pick holes in a lot of things. We can pick holes in them stats. We can pick holes in the interchanges that we do. All in all, it's just not very good from us. Absolutely not very good.
The
And I know
frustrating thing, Kev, is as much as you can say, you can guarantee that we're going to use the same coach speak. And do you know what? I'm not going to blame Wello for this. It was the same with Wolf Holbrook. They'd use stock phrases week in, week out. And when you're winning, people ignore it. But when you're losing, it starts grating on people.
yeah,
And it's just as obvious and as predictable as when you do eventually put Noah Stevens on the bench, he's going to get 8 minutes tops. No matter whether we're winning, losing, drawing, whether we've got an injury crisis, you're going to put him on for 8 minutes. And lo and behold, Noah gets put on at 32-12 down with 8 minutes to go and makes more meters than the rest of them. I've no doubt this weekend that no doubt Dion Cross is signed for the club. Noah will probably get bombed out the squad and Iggy Parsi will remain again. But remember when we talked under Wolf and Holbrook and we were saying basically like you kept your place in the team if you earned your shirt. It was your shirt to lose once you were in it. Now, for me, there's far too many performances from some of our players this season where they've deserved to lose their shirt. This isn't just a one-off based on the Warrington game. There's been some consistently poor performance among bigger names in the squad, but you
yeah.
can guarantee they're still going to be on the team sheet week in, week out. And therein lies one of the problems for me.
Yeah, I think, I mean, when Iggy's come back from his injuries, that is pre-season, and I think he's actually done all right for the majority of this season. I think there's been times where he's looked good. There's been times where he's been a bit under the radar, and there's been times like that one where obviously that isn't great reading. But you're right when it comes to the bigger name players. I mean, we got called out in one of the comments on Facebook about giving praise to John Bennison when something had happened, like he was trying to stop someone while he was behind his own line. Listen, I will maintain the fact that the likes of John Bennison are not the lads costing us this game. Argue all you want, is he Super League starter level or is he an able deputy? Absolutely right. But there are some big names who really, really need to step up. I'm glad we're not using injuries as an excuse because time and time again, you've got to get the players performing that you have available to you. We're, they're going in training. These players aren't getting injured Friday morning before a game, Thursday morning, Saturday morning. That's not happening. They're getting injured, so you know what's going to happen. If you're going to reshuffle, these players as well aren't 17-year-old kids who don't know their place in the team. If you're going to have interchanges, excuse me, if you're going to have interchanges, use them. Use them. Get Noah Stevens on. Get Iggy Parzi's on your bench. Get him on. Get him on earlier. Hit him when you've got lads who are still going well, but give them the rest. Give your forwards the rest. Drag them off. If somebody's making mistake after mistake, drag them off. Have a word with them, then get them back on.
It's not like someone like Noah is like a complete novice either. He made double digit appearances last season. You know what he's capable of. You know he's the future, given that fact that you've given him a 4 year deal. Have a little bit of trust. And I'm really glad you said about John Bennison. I think, as you say, they're not the lads costing us games. Equally, they're not the lads who you would expect to be in our first choice 17 if everybody was fit. when there's players who would be in your first choice 17 on paper not performing, that's where your questions need to be asked.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and the worry for me is that when the time eventually comes, whenever that is, and he looks back in hindsight, is he going to regret being too loyal to people?
Yeah, I think he will be. As we say, you can't make loads, you can't change 12, 13 players at a time. It's a couple and it's tinkering and it's, say, as we've done, playing with the spine. So moving the spine about, seeing if you can get a little bit out of that. That's what you have to do. Because you're not, as much as some people, easy words to say, get all the academy in. The academy will get absolutely banjoed by a Super League team. You saw that with Salford earlier in the season. You get absolutely banjoed. There's nothing to learn there. But if you want to drop a couple in, so you talk about Noah Stevens, you're talking about Deon's obviously had a run. You look at Owen Dagnall, who's just come back from injury. You look at these lads, and is there room for them in the team? Is there room for them to be given a go? And yeah, they're gonna. I mentioned Owen Dagnall. He probably comes in for John Benison. You're not dropping Lewis Murphy. I don't care what anybody says. You're not dropping Lewis Murphy for him. But you might go, well, he's our future. He's the one with a 4 year deal. We're going to give him a go and see how it goes.
But,
Backs the wall here.
okay, let me just put this to you then. The problem we've got is of our own making. The fact that we did give Paul Wellens a 1 year extension, which we said at the time, do you know what? You've got to give him the opportunity this year to show that last year was due to injuries, whatever.
Yeah,
But because you've given him a 1 year deal, Wello is trying to save his own job,
yeah. It feels that way, doesn't it?
albeit doing the best for the club. If Wello does the best for himself by trying to win games, he does what is best for the club in terms of we win games. The
Yeah,
problem is there with being on a 1 year deal, Wello is thinking of the here and now and what he thinks is best to win games, which means he isn't now thinking of 2, 3 years down the line in the future. He's concerned with saving his job. So at
yeah.
this moment in time, if he thinks that Ignatius Parsi, Alex Walmsley, and the likes, Johnny Lomax, are better options than Harry Robertson, George Whitby, Noah Stevens, he's going to go with that. Whereas if we'd have give Wello or another the job for 2025, 2026, 2027 on a 3 year deal, and we were performing like this now, you would have the job security to make more wholesale changes and plan for the future and think, you know what, this is a long term project. But we're in short term project mode. If Wello is to survive this year, are you giving him 2 years?
I don't see at
I
the
don't see how
minute
he
how you
stays.
can. I don't see how you can imagine. And we said this. I hate saying this about Club Legend, but imagine offering him a deal now. Imagine announcing that he's got 2, 3 years now. I wouldn't like. I'd switch my phone off. All notifications would be off because I feel like our Facebook, our Twitter, whatever, would just absolutely go bananas with people responding
It
to
meltdown.
us sharing it. Yeah, it'd be unreal. But yeah,
Listen,
I get what you
there is the rumor mill goes round and round, and we're already talking about potential future coaches. It remains to be seen what happened, but the problem is now we've got some young players who could potentially suffer. We're not being blooded because we're just in panic mode and we're trying to rescue the season. And listen, maybe the club's philosophy has to be constantly, well, we want to try and win. Is that why we brought Dion Cross in? Because are we a couple of players from turning it around? I think you'd have to be the most optimistic person in the world to think that this team is capable of winning a trophy this year. Clip this at the end of the year if we've won it. I don't care. I'll be made up if I'm wrong.
yeah,
I don't see it. But
I,
I
I
just
don't.
think we're going to
Stranger
get the
things have
same old,
happened.
same old.
Yeah, stranger things have happened. You stay in the playoffs. It's like saying almost when we've said like picking the bones out the season or the season's over and stuff like that. Technically, it isn't. Finish top six and you win a couple of games and you're champions, and that's just how this sport works. It's just you want to be, as I say, when this is your escape from everything at the end of the week, you want to go and at least, if you're getting beat, at least feel like, oh, we were in a game there. You know what? We've not quite got the quality because we don't doubt effort. We've not quite got the quality, but at least we gave it a good go. Because I bet there's Salford fans who are happier with their team than there will be Saints fans at the moment. Because at least Salford just giving it a go with the backs to the wall and doing it for each other. Whereas I think Saints fans are looking, thinking, we're just doing this one out at times, flying out the line. And everyone's culpable from these mistakes, whether it's dropping the ball, whether it's flying out the line, missing tackles. Every single player is culpable. Whether you've scored, whether you are the best performer in one week, the best attitude, whatever it might be, because you're part of that 17, you're part of that group who is culpable for the performances, for the results.
Yeah, squad here. Just before we talk about the squad, one of the main questions that came on the presser this week, I think was from Phil Kinsella, and he was asking was about potential of Johnny Lomax coming back in. My biggest issue with what Wello said was the conversation was about George Whitby.
Yeah,
Why is it one or the other? Why if you bring Johnny Lomax in the team, does it have to be George Whitby out?
yeah, I think that's fair because as Wello has said, he's got an actual kicking game. So why would you sacrifice that? Why can't it be someone else? Why can't it be? And the writing would be on the wall for Tristan Sailor if that was the case. I think because out of that three, out of that spine three, you've got a kicking game from George Whitby. You've got Jack Welsby, who's England's fullback, who you're not dropping, and you've got an overseas player who's come in and, apart from a few flashes of brilliance, hasn't hit the ground running. As I've said, I'm not willing to necessarily throw his Saints career down the pan at the minute, but you need to see more. You need to see more from him.
Well, according to Aaron Bauer of Love Rugby League, Paul Wellington has insisted that criticism of Tristan Sailor's performances are harsh, but accepts they must do more to find consistency in games. Wellens responded on Wednesday with a stern message, insisting that criticism was over the top and the priority should be to support Sailor as he settles to life in Super League. I think it's slightly harsh. At the weekend, he had a hand in some of our good moments in scoring tries. We brought him in to score tries, or add tries, and there's signs he can do that. If you don't want to take him out the team, take him out the firing line a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Move him out wide.
I think I described him because like do the scores for All Out Rugby League um, as enigmatic one week. Now just look up the definition of enigmatic, mysterious, or puzzling because you just didn't see what he was bringing. Now you're doing that on a game basis. I'm not doing that on his whole Saints career, but that one game you're thinking, what's his role here? Does he know what his role is? Is he able to do his role? And yet we all wanted to see him go back to fullback and get Jack in the halves. How's that worked? No. Is that necessarily completely their fault? No, I don't think so. I think you've shown the stats of the pack playing behind a pack who are getting rolled and getting beaten. Um, but yeah, maybe it is time. And once again, I've not really looked at comments on YouTube recently. Once again, I'm not saying he is as good as Bevan French, but when Bevan French came over, Wigan bounced him about the
Kevin,
back.
he's not as good as Bevan French.
Yeah, thanks.
He's not Bevan French.
No, well, I've said that about half a dozen
Stop saying he's
times.
like Bevan French.
Um, I've said that about half a dozen times, and he's not. Um, but they bounced him. They got him to the level that he got to. I'm not even saying that Tristan Sailor could get to that level, but they got him to that level by bedding him in the team, getting him in, getting him used to their patterns. He'd play wing, he'd play fullback, he'd play six, and he seemed to bounce about a couple of positions. Maybe we've got to take some kind of lead from that and go, well, we'll try that move. we'll see how it goes and just get him some game time, get him used to playing over here. He's not played that many times in the NRL for a start. So let's get him battle hardened and then we can move him to a key position. As I say, I don't think he'll. I'm not likening him to Bevan French, the player. I'm likening it to a situation. Um, whether he can hit that heights. I mean, he's got what 18 months left on his deal. Be a brave man to say that he can.
Has he?
Yeah, he's got next year, hasn't
I thought you had three.
he? No, I think he's got two, hasn't
Uh, According to Aaron Bauer, who may be wrong, he arrived on a 3-year deal.
he? Oh, did he? Oh, bloody hell. Well, in that case, then he's really got to start hitting the ground running because being saddled with probably a biggish contract um, and a
No,
quarter.
2 years. Aaron Bauer, you are wrong. See, never trust what Love Rugby League tells you. The Saints official website says he's got a contract until the end of 2026.
Yeah,
He's not Fabrizio Romano, is he?
no, apology accepted anyway.
Yeah. If you want truthful information, you listen to Matt Shaw these days.
I
Right.
mean, my name's not Matt Shaw, but okay.
Yeah. Right. Moans
Do you
out
want me,
the way.
do
Right.
you want me to tell you who's in that squad? Or
No, we're going back to Dion Cross. I just wanted to have a go about Sailor. Dion Cross, the thing that tells me that, or told me this week that Wello isn't going anywhere, was the fact that the club put out a statement about obviously Dion Cross signing, and included the lines in it that Dion said, "I've been a fan growing up, a season ticket holder when I was a young lad, and now being coached by Paul Wellens, who I used to watch on the terraces of Knowsley Road. I think you have to punch yourself sometimes." That was a club way of saying Wello's going nowhere at this moment in time.
yeah, also I don't expect Dion Cross to say I can't wait to play under another coach.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I haven't watched Saints TV, so he might have said all this stuff, but it's very much media speak.
Fine.
Anyway, right. I'm gonna offer an apology
Okay.
to everyone watching this. Now, we said a couple of weeks ago that we needed to stop being, well, stingy. If we needed Dion Cross, pay the money that Salford wanted, just get it over the line and get him into the team. Um, as a business, we've done the right thing. We've held the cards close to our chest. Deon has been deregistered by the RFL, and we've got him on a free.
Yeah. I think he's obviously somebody we've been interested in for some time. Um, and when you just got the feeling there's more to this story than people frothing at the mouth on social media. It just feels like there's got to be more to this, and I don't think we've heard the last of all that scenario behind him. As it is, you know what, Dion Cross going to turn our season round? No. Will he provide us with balance and a good option in the backs and strengthen our squad? Absolutely.
Yeah,
Strong,
we've suddenly
athletic.
got options.
Are we keeping you awake here, Dave?
I'm knackered.
Um, Strong, athletic, turn of pace about him. He's going to obviously want to do well because he's pulling on a Saint shirt.
And getting
I
paid.
Yes, yeah, on time. I think it's a good move all round for Dion for us um, because he's going to push players. And you talk about like dropping. We spoke briefly about the chance of George Whitby dropping out. This gives you the chance to rest players when you don't need to be throwing them in. So we all worry about Percy, and I think he's played, say, 70% of games over the past 2 years. You don't need to play him every week now. If he's got a little bit of a knock, go on holiday, Percy, go and have a week off with a wife and kids. Don't have to bother. Harry Robertson, you know what? We actually need you at one this week. So we're going to slot you back in there. Dion Cross is in. Um,
Connie, you just stay at Halifax.
yeah. Someone's got a ban or a knock, one of our wingers. you know what, we don't have to risk it. Dion Cross can go out there. And I just think it makes sense as a signing, and it does strengthen the squad. I just hope people, and I don't think many people will. No offense, Dion, but I don't think many people will be thinking, right, that's the final piece of the jigsaw. We're going to win the league. But
I'm gonna be
but
Moany McMoanface here, by the way. Did you see Connie's
okay,
Instagram where he was talking about, oh, I'm never gonna see the field now.
yeah,
I know it's done in a jokey way,
yeah,
but is it funny when it's true?
yeah. I just took it as a joke. I took it as a
It is a
joke
joke,
between,
but
but you didn't like it. I,
no,
I was I wasn't that bothered by it.
I'm just in a, ugh.
Salty mood. I've been called salty this week by David Howarth, who sometimes joins us on here. Yeah, I've been called salty. Been in a salty mood since Thursday,
Well,
apparently.
anyway, Kev, we've been talking for 25 minutes. When are we talking about Everton for David Allison?
Well, okay, now you've brought it up, I would like to say, or I'd like to ask if anyone got onto the six Everton players I mentioned during that rant on Thursday night, because I mentioned six Everton players. Wow.
Go back, rewatch, name them. If you name them all, Kevin will give you a shout out.
Yeah, yes, okay.
I
What's
liked
your
how
brand?
somebody said this had turned into a moanathon. And I'm like, I'm not being funny. For the last 12, 18 months, I've not defended well out to the hill, but I've given a lot more time than the majority of the fan base.
Yeah, I think we
And
both
the
have.
minute we say something that somebody else doesn't like, with the moaning, I did like your comments in reply. What opinion would you like us to give? Yours or our own? We've said it time and time again. We don't represent Saints fans on this show. This is the
No,
Redvee show that represents mine and your opinions and whoever else joins us at the time.
yeah,
We don't always agree ourselves between us. That's why we have a show.
yeah,
That is why
and
you are allowed in the comments on YouTube, Facebook, the website that is provided freely for you at cost to us to air your opinions.
yeah,
People talk about some of the stuff that's on the Redvee forums. Do you know what? I don't agree with it. A lot of the stuff that's posted, but that's fine because that's what the forum is for.
yeah. That's fair enough.
Anyway,
I don't read it, so
to be fair, neither do I as much as I can. Only when somebody will highlight something that I need to look at.
yeah.
Right, who's in and who's out, Kev?
Deon Cross obviously comes in. Jake Wingfield returns after he saw a specialist after his HIA failure. Ben Davis and Jake Burns, the two to drop out.
Okay, I'm gonna say the back line is gonna be Tristan Sailor, Lewis Murphy, Mark Percival, Dion Cross,
Yeah,
Deon Sambu, Jack Wellesby,
okay.
George Whitby. I'm gonna carry on here.
Yeah, okay.
Alex Walmsley, Daryl Clark, Matty Lees, Matt Whitley, Morgan
Matt,
Knowles,
yeah. Sirinen,
Ben. Oh, sorry, yeah, Siranen. Yeah, Siranen, Whitley, Knowles,
yeah.
bench, Parsi, Wingfield, Delaney, Moses. Missing out, Noah Stevens, Owen Dagnall. Who else? Johnny Lomax. Did I put Wingy in there? Who missed out?
Yeah, he put Wingy on the bench. John Bedison.
John Bennison.
Is that what you think he'll go with?
Yes, not what I would go with, but that's what I think you'll go with.
What would you go with?
What would I go with? I would go with Jack Wellsby at fullback.
Hmm.
Wingers, I would go with Lewis Murphy and Owen Dagnall. Because as
What
far as we're aware, Deon Sambu's not at the club next year. So do you know what?
What about John Bedison?
Oh, I'm torn because I said after the show against Warrington, John Benison was not at fault for anything. But unfortunately, if you're adding pace to your back line, which you adding in Dion Cross, you need pace across that back line,
Yeah,
which is why I think sooner rather than later, tear up what we've been doing and go with new. And that's why. But then, is he likely to go with? You'd have to put Cross with Murphy and Percival with Dagnall. Otherwise,
yeah,
you don't want a new pairing.
yeah. That's okay. And Percy can play right hand side if you're going to do that.
Yeah. In the halves, I would go. See, it's where you put Sailor because I could drop Sailor full stop, but
Oh, okay.
would I have him on the wing? I might have him on the wing. Do you know what? I might have him on the wing instead of Owen Dagnall
Yeah,
if it was up to me. And then in the halves, I'd have Lomax and Whitby. Forwards,
yeah. I know what you're struggling with here because you're struggling with the fact that we need to make changes, but it's tough too when you've only got a finite number of players to pick from. I think Morgan Knowles is a shoe in. I think your two second rows are a shoe in at the minute, just because there's not really much else to go there.
and do you know what? I had Ciro on that. Ciro's on that slide, but
Yeah,
Ciro's not one of your props. And
no,
Ciro, for me, has been good this year.
yeah, yeah,
So Ciro's not one of your issues in his team. Alex Walmsley at this moment in time is an issue. So, but then so's Parsi,
yeah.
and
I think,
I don't think you can start Parsi, and I don't think you
well,
can start Noah Stevens. So I think Walmsley keeps his place on that basis at this minute.
I was going to say I see people saying we should start Delaney and Leeds, and I think that's a little bit too much like each other.
Yeah,
So if you are going to bench someone, I think, and you're going to bench one of your props, it's not going to be Matty Lees. And I think you change Alex Walmsley and Iggy Parsy's role round there because you're not going to start Noah Stevens. So I think you potentially do that. I
I would
would,
like to see Parsi out the squad
yeah,
again. Contracts up at the end of the year. You need to start phasing him out a little bit and Noah in, and to put Noah on the bench to spell Walmsley, but spell him properly with proper
but
minutes.
I don't see Sailor being dropped, but I potentially would take him completely out the firing line. And I know it's a big game to do it in, with it being Magic Weekend and all the press up there, but I would be more convinced we go with Wellesby at fullback, Lomax at 6, um, George Whitby at 7, um, and then as your 9 option, Darrell Clark starts. I would probably have Jake Wingfield as your backup 9. I hate saying that because he's not a 9, but he can do 10 minutes, 15 minutes if need be. Um, I think it would be harsh to drop John Benison, but I hate this phrase of big pitch. Is it miles bigger than any other in Super League? I'm not sure. But if it's a big pitch, you go with pace on that wing. So you go with Sambu, you go with Dagnall rather than Benison, even though Benison has done nothing wrong. Um, I'm saying you take Sailor out. I think that is probably where he's got a shot at being on the bench. But I would probably go with Noah because you need to blood these forwards and get them actually running at people. I just think maybe with Jake Wingfield being your choice at 13 as well as 9 and being able to spell Darrell Clark and being able to spell Morgan Knowles, you might have room for a big prop on the bench just to go with Alex Walmsley or Iggy Parsi alongside them to do it and George Delaney because you've got that utility value of Jake Wingfield.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
tough.
tough one. I feel I've just named 19 players in my 17-man squad.
And I think I think the thing that we're showing here is that no matter what gets picked, there's going to be an element of the fan base who aren't happy with it.
Correct.
If you want a universally unpopular decision, which if we lose would cause the absolute entire fan base to go into meltdown, it would be not playing George Whitby.
Yeah, and I'll say that I agree with that, with the caveat that sooner rather than later, George does need to be taken out of the firing line. And then you've got to probably go back to your 6 and 7, actually playing at 6 and 7. But you've got to take him out just for his own development, that he's not week in, week out playing Super League, because I do believe that could well be detrimental. And I know people will be going, no, you just if you're old enough, you're good enough, and all that. But I just think the game is far more athletic, different, more intense. That you've got to look after these young players, and almost it's a bit of a blessing in disguise that Harry Robertson's missing out for a couple of weeks, because then he's not being put through the rigors of 20 odd games at centre.
Can't find the pitch size of the Totally Wicked Stadium, but St James's Park and the
Yeah.
DW Stadium or the Brick Community Stadium are both 105 by 68.
Okay.
Leeds squad.
Unchanged. A bit of a shock there because Ryan Hall missed out last week, and I think they thought he had a bit of a serious injury. But Brad Arthur said that they're going to um, wait until late on before making a decision on him. Um, I don't think he'll play. I think it's just a kind of one of those. You will leave him in there. We don't have to change anything.
We don't have to
Um,
change the graphic.
don't have to change the graphic. But it wouldn't surprise me. They've just signed. I'm just trying to find his name. Elliot Wallace on a month's loan from Huddersfield, and he's a winger. And it wouldn't surprise me to see that being a change to the 21-man squad using the injury kind of swap that you can do without losing an interchange.
Tom Nicholson Watson, the poshest name in Super League.
Well, that's like saying Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook was once the poshest name in Super League.
Um, Leeds are improving.
Yes, very much so.
And if you thought Warrington was our nadir, losing to Leeds and Leeds badly would be even worse.
It's funny you use that word because I I work in Liverpool, and there's a couple of Saints fans in our office, and somebody said, "Do you think we've reached our lowest point?" And I said, "I'm not even sure we've hit our nadir yet." So it's funny you use that because I used it on Tuesday of this
It's a
week. I
good
think it
word,
was.
isn't it?
It's a cracking word. I think the one thing with that squad is you look at it and you think Andy Ackers isn't there, you think Cam Smith isn't there, so they are missing a couple of players. But I think they've just got a way of playing. They're probably seeing the best out of the man who's in the graphic there, Jake Connor, aren't they? It looks like they've just kind of know how to play to him. Got to shut down Lockie Miller, and I'm going to call it a bizarre running style, but he just seems to bounce about. Like when I've seen him play, he bounces about looking for a gap. You've got to shut that down so it's not an issue. Um, But yeah, listen, they've got enough still there to cause us problems because he caused Hull KR problems last week. And this is one of those games that I don't fancy us. I really don't.
I think it's tough to fancy Saints in any game at this moment in time, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Apart from
absolutely.
apart from Huddersfield, Cass and Salford.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Because even the Wakefield game recently, we were saying this is going to be a tough one, and you can see us getting beat here. Yeah, we've put in a good first half performance, first 50, but against the team who's kind of damned us up, like Leeds, because they'll feel a little bit hard done to not getting a result against Hull KR, and they'll have a look at us and think these are there for the taking. And it's a shame that we're not as confident as we should be.
We didn't talk about our magic kit the other week, did we?
We didn't when it got released, no.
It should have been released a couple of months earlier, and it should have been made the cup kit.
Yeah, but
Eventually, we will learn our lesson, and we will release it just as the third kit that we wear in all cup competitions and at Magic, and sell
yeah,
more. But
well,
it has come out a little bit earlier this year, and they said that
yeah,
they've said they will wear it once more to be announced.
yeah, Hull away, I'd imagine. just having a white home shirt and a dark away shirt. It makes sense. They have labelled it as the third kit, which is again a good idea. Just do it earlier. Now, whether the colourway for you is for you or not, I implore Saints, absolutely implore us to stop using good kits on one-offs or you're playing in it twice. So I'm looking at last year's Magic kit with all the community clubs on, that if that would have gone out by the absolute bucket load, but we seemed happy enough to sell a van load. Like you'd could have sold a shop full of them because all the links to the community club. I've just realised I said bucket load and van load. Anyway, you could have sold a shop full of them because the links to the community club, what we're trying to do this year, would have sold it, would have carried it. This, you've got the crown, the town crest on there, and we're using it for a kit that's going to be used twice. Why is that not part of the away shirt? Like, as I say, the
Because
colours
we
might
wanted
not
to write
be
Saints over it 5 million times in a
in it.
really bad font.
Yeah, in that.
That's why we didn't use it on the away kit.
Well, it's that font at the top. That is not strong enough to be a brand. That's not strong enough to be on a shirt. But that with
The
the
word
town,
Saint, the word Saints on its own isn't a strong enough brand in sport. I'm sorry, it's too
mm,
much. It's linked with Northampton Saints, Southampton,
New Orleans,
New Orleans.
there's one. You didn't get that one, and you're the NFL expert.
Well, I was talking about the UK.
But across sport, it just isn't. Um, but that, I mean, imagine if we had a proper V on that, and that was white with that badge on it. It's again, you'd sell loads of them.
By the way,
Me,
I know people are there's some who are fussed about the colourway. It actually looks all right in person. It looks quite nice.
it's fine. It's fine. I'm neither um,
I
disgusted
don't
by it
I,
or
I don't generally get too het up about kits, like because like listen, the away kit this year is poor.
yeah. It's just yeah,
It's dull, it's boring, it's poor. But we're only going to wear it about 7 times, and then we'll move on again.
yeah,
The home kits are the home kits, and are the home kits quite boring at times? Well, yeah, but then I'll go back to Everton. I've shown you every Everton home kit for the last 25 years, and it's probably the same with Burnley. The collar might change, a button might be placed somewhere, the trim on the sleeves. Your home kit is your flag bearer standard,
yeah,
shouldn't change that much. But your
yeah,
away kits, for me, is something you should be able to play about with.
yeah. Oh yeah. Um, and this is where you can do your mad designs. You can do whatever you want and see what works and what doesn't, what lands and what doesn't.
Well, speaking of some designs that don't land,
Which one are you looking at?
well, I'm wondering why Castleford have nicked Catalan's kit.
Fair enough.
It's a Catalan kit. They've even stood him next to a Catalan player just to like warp your minds. Um, I like the fact that half the teams haven't bothered to bring a magic kit out and just gone, nah. Um, Salford have gone full on 80s
I
style.
love it. I
Yeah,
love it. I love Salford's. Salford's is tremendous.
yeah. Um, Lee's is different.
I mean, that's the kindest thing you could say about it.
I like the fact that the leopard blends into his tattoos.
Yeah. I just thought he had leggings and a sleeve on. I
Um,
think my issue Lee's isn't too bad, but it's the is it Be the Raw that's written on it? Yeah, not for me. I mean, it's satire. There's sartorial elegance personified. Um, yeah, I think
can I whisper it
you,
quietly? That Wigan kit's actually nice.
yeah, you can do. It's fine. Again, it's all right, isn't it?
Different colour,
Yeah,
summery.
all right, God.
Our, our kits looks all right there.
But you
Warrington,
know.
Warrington's kit looks like they're wearing a bra.
You know what I'd like to see though?
What?
Like, and I know we can't really do it again. Well, we probably could do it against Leeds, but let's bring out a shirt white with a blue V. Let's bring out a shirt that is white and blue stripes. Let's bring out,
The
if whoever
pinball
you
kit.
want,
Right.
the pin, the
I want to give a little
pinball.
secret. I want to give a little secret away here. On Facebook Messenger, off the back of the Redvee fans group, there is a roaring trade
Yeah,
in retro kits, which has
yeah,
hundreds and hundreds of members in it, looking for kits, retro kits to wear and buy on a weekly basis. There
correct.
are some of our kits, like I think was it the 2000 away kit, the blue and white St. Helens glass one,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
massively in demand. Spider-Man kit, massively in demand. The blue and white heritage kit from '95, if you can get hold of
yeah.
it, massively in demand. The black pinball kit, massively in demand. The McEwen's Lager kit, which is my favorite kit of all time, hugely in demand. If you've, by the way, so if you've got them in the loft and you don't want them, there is a market out there for you to sell them. But the club should be doing reimagined designs off the back of them. They don't have to be identical, but very, very similar. And
Yeah.
you say in 2027, this is the 30th anniversary uh, kit of the 1997 away kit. It's to celebrate the 30th anniversary of winning Super
Yeah,
League.
absolutely no problem with
Go,
that
go with,
whatsoever.
like when, like, sorry, we're going back to football here. Burnley or Everton release a kit, and they'll come up with the biggest cock and bull story.
Yeah,
This kit is inspired by the bricks on the Everton tower,
we had one
the hill with the fence
with
round it, and it's
yeah,
just some like, and you think, is it really? But there's a story around it.
yeah. Well, I don't know. Can you see my screen there?
Yes, just yeah. There you
Look,
go,
I made that.
and it's better than anything Saints have ever put out. Just make retro kits. It's so simple.
Yeah, yeah,
Not even complete. Listen, listen. If you made completely faithful remakes of some of our kits and put Exito or whatever on it, if you got the license or you could get away with it, you'd sell a fortune. I don't think making a complete um like the '96 Cup kit. Did they try and remake that, but they put O'Neill's on it. It didn't
yeah.
work. It's got to be either a completely faithful. There you go. The black pinball kit in white. Make that a home kit. Sell a bucket load.
Kinsella was bored one day with it.
Yeah.
Right,
At
anyway.
some day, someone will listen because they'll want to earn some money in the club. But what
Correct.
do fans know? What fans want? Unfortunately, someone round about this time of year will be picking the 2027 kits. They'll close their eyes, stick a pin in a board, and go, "Yeah, that'll do."
Yep.
And this is why the shop looks like a jumble sale. A,
Well,
a,
we've ended.
refur- a refurbished jumble sale, to give it credit. Hey,
Well,
this
we've
is the 1st of May today, and it's 28 degrees. I wonder if they put the woolly outs out in the shop.
we ending on a moan or is there anything else?
Started, carried on. Let me just see if there's anything else for us to talk about before we finish. No, I'm glad I'm done. This has been your Red VTV therapy session. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will blow up again on Saturday night. Catch you very, very soon.